almost went up to the parlor, right?
All right. I'm just going to push this back a little bit here, sorry. A little bit. All right, good morning. Thank you very much for being here. I am excited to announce that we are continuing our ongoing negotiations to try to see between the two houses and with Governor Walker where we'll have an opportunity to find common ground and work together. I'm sorry.
I know that's hard
so
to get
funny.
used to.
Yeah. Well, I've been saying Governor Doyle, so at least I'm making some progress forward. So I can start over, so you can go to that whole thing. So I didn't even realize the pay for that. Yeah, where's the little thing?
Take two.
So thank you for being here today. I am excited to talk about the opportunity for us to work with our new governor, Governor Evers, to find ways that we can hopefully find issues to work on together and try, at least for the foreseeable future, to avoid picking topics that we know are going to be divisive, that we know will draw contrast between the two parties that really aren't necessary, especially initially. We're going to have plenty of those fights over the next 2 years, but it certainly doesn't have to be in the first week. So our caucus discussed the issues over the course of the past several weeks, knowing, of course, the outcome of the election. And we tried to brainstorm where are the opportunities for us to find that common ground, work together on things that we believe there really is common ground, not just saying it and then trying to put out some kind of a false narrative. So let's just go through quickly some of the areas that we took, looking at the promises that Governor Evers made over the course of his campaign. The first one, income tax reductions. When I saw Governor Evers' campaign commercials, they focused mostly on two areas, right? Protecting people with pre-existing conditions, which the Assembly had already voted for, and reducing middle-income taxes. So hopefully that's an area we could find consensus on. Enhancing high-speed internet access. That's something that doesn't affect folks just in small towns or rural areas. There are actually every part of the state that wants to have access to things like 5G. But for a lot of the state, they don't even have access to high-speed broadband today under the current law that we have. So hopefully that's an area we could find some common ground. I already mentioned pre-existing condition coverage. Certainly that's something that Governor Evers ran on. It's something that I think every one of us want to make sure we have protected. And the best way to do that is to ensure that in state law, we have the guarantee that's protected. So no matter what happens in Washington, no matter what happens with the lawsuit, we know that it will not have an impact on citizens here in the state. I don't want to bet our hopes on a lawsuit becoming successful or not. I want to guarantee it happens in our state. We know K-12 education is hugely important for all of us. Students in every single part of K-12, of course, public schools being the vast majority of students, but also students who are homeschooled, students who are in charter schools or choice. All of those are important, and I think we can find a way to continue to increase opportunities for them. Republicans supported and created senior care. We have been the ones, especially in the Assembly, who even when some have proposed to dramatically change it or get rid of it, we saved it. During the campaign, Governor Evers talked about expanding senior care to cover flu shots. I think that's a good idea, one that I would certainly be open to exploring as we go forward. Also, we talked about things that especially, and I'll let Jim talk about this one, regarding homelessness. That was very successful last time, and I know Governor Evers talked about that as well.
Yeah, and we want to build off the successes we had in the past session with this bipartisan package of bills to help combat homelessness. Obviously, the Interagency Council was created out of that package of bills. They spent approximately the last year under the leadership of Lieutenant Governor Clayfish coming up with recommendations moving forward on how the state can really, for the first time, have a concerted effort to end homelessness. Those recommendations came out towards the end of this year last year. We want to work with the incoming administration. I've already talked briefly about it with the Lieutenant Governor. We want to work with them to make sure that these recommendations are implemented and that the work of the Interagency Council and the advocates that have helped serve on that and helped give information to that council are taken seriously and that this effort continues to move forward.
So we know transportation is something that I've heard Governor Evers talk about. He mentioned, I think, just even yesterday at the economic forum sponsored by the Bankers Association. So we know that the debt level in transportation is way too high, so we have to figure out a way to hopefully work together to address the ability to have a sustainable long-term transportation fund that doesn't rely on borrowing, which frankly every single legislator here has voted to increase bonding and transportation, both Democrats and Republicans over the course of the past decade. So there's a lot of blame to go around. Hopefully there will be a lot of solutions to be found. Child care affordability. We know that for an awful lot of families, making sure that as we have more and more folks with two people working in the home, child care is going to become a huge issue for families going forward, finding ways to make it more affordable. Under Republicans, enhancing some of the things that Governor Doyle did. Of course, we have our rating system to guarantee we have high quality child care in almost every single, if not all parts of Wisconsin. I think we can do better, and we need to make sure we keep working on that. Just this last week, we announced the creation of a Speaker's Task Force on clean water. We're in the process of working with our caucus to figure out the areas that we would specifically focus on. I think that's an area, of course, once again, wanting to be good environmental stewards. That's not a partisan issue. That's not one party versus the other. Should be everybody wanting to make sure we have access to clean drinking water in the 25% of the state that's on a private well. The vast majority of Wisconsin is on a municipal water system, but that still means there's a whole group of people who want to guarantee that the water that they drink and the water that they use every day is safe. Investments in our infrastructure in general. The state of Wisconsin owns over 6,000 buildings. When I say infrastructure, this is the vertical, not the horizontal. We own over 6,000 buildings, and we need to make sure we do a good job of guaranteeing that those buildings are well maintained, that they are adequately utilized. So perhaps there are some that can be sold that we no longer need to invest in the opportunity for us to create good long-term sustainable structures to go forward. And then lastly on our list, attracting quality employees. And that means not just to the state in general, which is for everybody. We know that I think today Mike Rohrcast and Senator Fine put out some of their talent incentive program ideas. I think some of those are good. We know in the last budget we put together a proposal to increase the activity to attract more people to come to our state. I think that's something that shouldn't be bipartisan. We're not asking what their party registration is as they move to Wisconsin. We just want them to be here as good, productive workers. And I think that also is something that we want to